Yo guys, what's up? So the BV build is finally here, alright. I've been really very busy lately, and because of that there is no low budget version for this. However, nextly, of course I will just try my best to update the low budget version so you can, progress progressively if you really want to play this as your first character. Alright, but for now, no low budget. This is just the high budget variant, and it costs about 40. It cost about 45D for me because I upgraded some stuff. But usually on the low budget scale, it should cost about 40 to 45D. Alright. Okay, and BV is just a very simple build where there are literally almost like just 3 buttons you press. Okay, one is your left click where you'll just be walking around with your vortex everywhere. Second is your blade vortex where you cast on your right click and you only click it like once every 3-4 seconds, right? Every 3-4 seconds. So it's not a really very click intensive kind of build where you have to hold down the button or you have to click a lot of stuff. No. Alright, the rest of the buttons are like just very utility based, like flame dash, Val blade vortex, and your cursors to debuff. And of course, if you're in a very dire situation, you need to cast Valgrace, then so be it. Okay, and next is what does this build actually specializes in? It specializes in mapping in particular. Okay, it is not a fantastic bosser, but it is a super fantastic mapper. It's really a whole new different kind of world when you actually try to map with Blade Vortex if you have not played before. Right? If you have not played before, it just explodes everything the moment you touch some of the monsters. Like literally touch and kill them, everything else like behind just explodes and die. Okay, the feeling is really very great and awesome. For those of you that really like mapping like me, I highly suggest you try this build. Okay, and as usual, okay, before I go through the POB, I will have some gameplay of this build. And in the POB, I will not go through every single one of the details. You can just go through that yourself. However, I am going to tell you what are the things that can be changed, what are the alternatives, and of course I'll still talk a little bit about the skill trees, the skill gems, and the items, but I will only focus on the important stuff. Alright, and I'll just finish off this video with some of my comments that I feel you need to take note of before you actually play this build, and what you need to be careful when playing this build, so on and so forth. Alright, let's go. Alright, I'm gonna showcase to you guys how this build feels on mapping, and this is just a very simple L and go strategy I am doing right here with Legion. Alright, so let's go. The mapping really feels extremely fantastic on this build, okay? And with this build able to utilize the caster mastery or opening the chest, stuff like Blight, Breach, Legion, they are all going to be very efficient, okay, in those mid-budget mapping kind of strategies. Okay, we got some nice cuts over here. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's really the worst in single target. It's still actually decent. It's just that you won't have the best. Okay, you won't have the best single target damage. Sometimes if you encounter those very pesky or tanky rare monsters, you might need some time to deal with it, but come on man, it's kind of a give and take situation. You really have a super good mapper, so you can't really have a super good single target character as well, right? Yeah, you can see everything that I touches it, right, just pops and go off, like even behind it. Okay, everything behind it just pops and just goes off. So the feeling is really very good. Okay, it's so good and satisfying. It's kind of like the situation where if you actually go to this, right, go into this build, you will never want to go into another mapper again. And now because I do not have a headhunter, if you have a headhunter, this build is just an absolute beast with headhunter. Okay, because there are so many physical buffs you can steal with headhunter. And with all the conversion of physical to to cold damage, right, this build is gonna stack up tons and tons and tons of damage. And that's why the Headhunter, this build is just so good. Alright, so yup, that's Legion for you. I just pop it and it's really that simple. Everything just pops and goes off really nicely and smoothly. Okay, and yeah, I have a Harbinger. You can see anything that just comes out, right, will just get popped straight away, immediately, and it feels really very satisfying and good. Right, let's go. This is the boss. Okay, so the boss unfortunately happened to be the end, and yep. So that's roughly the build. Okay, and with the very short gameplay of my BV, it's basically just to show you like how it feels like mapping with it. When you actually do other contents or even juicy contents with it, it will perform much better. Okay, next is I am going to show you the Google spreadsheet. It is updated already. Over here at like line 27, this is like for this build, the high budget. The POB is over here. I'm gonna remove this. So yeah, the trade links are all over here also. This BV low budget is not updated. Okay, I'm just gonna put here not updated. Let's just not updated. Okay, not updated. So if you want to use it, it is still okay. It is still okay, but it does not have any link or synchronization with the high budget. Okay. So yep, this is the paste bin. You can just take it for yourself. And over here, I have done up all of the trade links. Okay, every single item you need. The rough price of every individual section. So like jewels probably roughly cost about 15 divine. And then you have the what is that, the estimated cost of equipment. It costs about 18 divine. The cost of skill gems is about 7 divine. And then there is like further upgrades if you really want. Okay, if you really want, and so on and so forth. Alright, the trade links are over here. Additional notes that you need to take note of is over in column H, so please just check carefully. Alright. And the last part is over here. Okay, under like column I is the section on how to craft items yourself. Okay, I am gonna emphasize this one more time. If you really do not know how to craft, please read here carefully. Alright, this is like a very very basic step-by-step scenario on how you should craft it already. Okay, I can't make this any more simpler. This is really the simplest of the simpler. If you still really do not know, then I highly suggest you come to my Discord and you can ask in the specific chat, like the BV chats or something like that. Please do not comment on the YouTube, because I don't see those comments every now and then. So like only probably once every few days I'll just go in to have a look. Right, so if you really want to play this as soon as possible and you still have problems crafting the items, or you do not know where to get them, or whether or not is there any alternatives, you can just come over to my Discord and ask me over there. Right, so yep, all the trade links have been updated. If there is any of the trade links that are broken, missing, or wrong, please let me know. Alright, just please let me know. Alright guys, so this is the skill tree. Alright, I have various skill tree. You can just look at it yourself. There is like level 80 and 91 to kick start your BV. Alright, and then I would say ideally you want to reach level 95 to 100 for this build to perform at its best, at its peak. Alright, and this is how it looks like. So I have roughly about 5,000 life. Okay, more than enough mana to cast our skills, and we have about 83% evasion chance. It really depends on your watcher's eye. Alright, and of course cap resistance. Chaos resistance really depends on the items you have. Alright, but However, in my current set of items, it is just like the bare minimum I feel you should or be able to get. Okay, like I say, however, if your rare items have additional chaos rest and you can manage to cap it, then it's really very good. Otherwise, you should have around 30 chaos rest. Okay, and the DPS for level 95 is sitting at about 29 million, alright? It's, come on guys, it's really good and more than enough for a regular mapping. Like even for juice daily maps, I honestly think this is more than enough. Okay, it's really more than enough. However, when you are doing like very highly juice delirium maps or or farmings with it, I highly recommend you get a headhunter. Okay, so on to the skill tree. Now, what are the things that you can change, right? Let's say if you really do not want so much life, you can just remove like all of the additional life nodes over here. Alright, there's one over here, one over here, one over here. You actually don't really need this mana and life nodes also, and you have like more points to add. You can add all of the other damage nodes, like even this. Okay, it is fine also. Those crit multiplier, you can see I instantly 4 points I increased by like 3 million. Okay, if you want to get like the divine judgment to have some elemental mastery, it's fine as well. But yeah, these are basically like the main changes you can make. There are like some masteries that you are able to take to, but I do not have enough points, so that is why this is just my go-to. Okay, next is like the next best thing. Okay, previously it was a meme. Okay, it was a meme for me. It feels like a meme for me, but it turns out this mastery is actually very good, and that's the custom mastery to have 25% chance to open nearby chests when you cast a spell. This is especially good when you're doing Legion, Breach, Blight, what else is there? Okay, basically all of those that requires you to open lots of chests. Okay, this is really very good. So yeah, for those of you that wants to have this mastery to do all of these contents more efficiently and faster, I have a skill tree specifically for it. Okay, we will give up a little bit of the damage nodes here and there, and just to take the custom mastery over here, because it requires 4 points exactly, and it's connected directly to our main skill tree. Right, so what happened here is I remove the force multiplier, one of the life nodes, and one more mastery somewhere. I can't really exactly remember, but basically it's a multiplier mastery, right? Critical multiplier mastery, and we just add 4 points straight to here so that you can open those chests easily. I have a level 101, have level 103 as well. Okay, so yep, the rest of the skill tree, I'll just leave it to you guys to actually have a look at it. Okay, next up is the skill gems. So for the skill gems, right, I'm just going to go through a very quick one. The first one is Valblade Vortex. Okay, if you want, you can actually upgrade it to a 2120 Valblade Vortex, but I got to remind you, okay, this is very expensive. Okay, and I mean really very expensive. It's like about 9 to 10 divines. Okay, so beware. If you really like this build and you want to have a further upgrade, this is one of the options. Right, the rest are pretty much mandatory. And the last one is, okay, let me just go through. So Awaken Unleash at level 5, Power Charge on Critical. You don't need this at level 20, so just 20, 23. Inspiration, I went with the Anomalous for the crit chance so that we can reach as high as 100% crit, almost 100% crit, alright? Increased critical damage, you don't really need a 2120. 2120 is like way more expensive than a 2023, and the only difference is like a 1% critical strike multiplier, so hence 2023. Alright, and the last one, there are a lot of debates on this. Okay, so there are really a lot of debates on this, and what I highly recommend, right, is if you are going for the Void Battery variant, which is my current build, you should go for Divergent Hypothermia. Alright, because this is like the best option, best budget option for it, and you don't really need the Empower level 4. Empower level 4 expensive. Basically what it does, right, it actually gives you the same amount of DPS. Okay, I'm gonna show you right now. So I'm gonna remove Empower. So this is Hypothermia damage. if I were to remove hypothermia, like you can see the difference is very, very insignificant. It's like 100k only. So that's why I did not went for the Empower level 4, because the Empower level 4 is literally for those bow builds, and I am not going for the bow version of it, right? Which I'll explain why later on. Okay, next is there's a little bit of change from the previous version. Now Vortex only has 3 link, which is the Vortex Bone Shield and Awaken Unbound Ailment. Alright, we have our cast when damage taken Immortal Call, Flame Dash 1, and this is gonna be on our second weapon, which is your Void Battery. And I'm gonna use Arcanist Brand now, tied together with Triple Curse, okay, which is Frostbite Punishment and Elemental Weakness. This tree is literally meant for you when you are fighting against unique monsters, rare monsters, map bosses, pesky tanky monsters that you cannot, that is harder to deal with, alright? That is where the Arcanist brand actually comes in. You're gonna cast it. Otherwise, for normal mapping, most of the time you're just gonna pop everything and it will just die. Right, auras, I'm just gonna go with Herald of Purity, Herald of Ice, Defiance, Banner. Okay, and the second aura is I am running Grace. So Grace, Hatred, Zealotry, and also Enlighten level 3. Right, so both requires Enlighten level 3, and this is gonna free up one socket space, one less cluster, small cluster from the previous version. Okay, so one thing that you can change over here is if you do not want Herald of Purity, you really like more mapping kind of explosions, you can actually go for Herald of Ash. Okay, Herald of Ash here is an option. Okay, it is an option over here. So if you really like more exploding kind of effects and stuff, then yes, you can go for Herald of Ash. Otherwise, if you want some good monsters that can actually tank for you, I would prefer Herald of Purity, the anomalous version, so that you can taunt on hit, and those rare monsters won't technically always target you. Okay, alright, next so part is the items. Yes, there is a lot of rare items. Okay, I'm gonna go through it one by one. So the weapon of choice is Void Battery. Okay, double Void Battery. Now I'm gonna explain this once, and I'm not gonna say it again. So the reason why you choose Void Battery, right? I've done a lot of research on this. Okay, so the reason why I've chosen Void Battery is because I do not have a Headhunter at the start. Okay, however, if you are going to progress through with Blade Vortex, you can see there are tons of people playing bow builds on it. Okay, what I can tell you TLDR is if you do not have a Headhunter, you go for Void Battery. That is the better option. If you have a Headhunter, I would recommend, like if you already have a Headhunter, I will highly recommend you to go for the bow version, which is going to boost your DPS by quite a significant amount, because you're going to craft the bow, which has a +1/+1 to skill gems, and with the Empower, that's where the Empower level 4 comes into play. Right, however, on a very smaller scale budget kind of BV without the Headhunter, I'm not saying this build cannot play with Headhunter, okay? I'm saying it can, but it does not scale as well as the bow version. So to prevent like very troublesome craftings over again for the bow build, I've just done this. Okay, it's much easier and simpler. Otherwise, crafting too many rare items is something that is quite annoying as well. So Void Battery for the lower budget version, bow for the very high budget version. And something that I want to stress on a lot is, even though you are on the bow version, let's say for example, the DPS increase is not very, very significant. Okay, I would say you are probably gonna invest like let's just say without the Headhunter, okay, like just the bow and the quiver, you are probably gonna invest like 10 to 15 divine more, or even 20 divine more, just for another 8 to 10 million DPS increase. Okay, and like I mentioned, right, the DPS that I currently have is more than enough to do whatever you need. It's already more than enough to do whatever you need. So I don't really see the necessity of having a bow quiver build, unless you really just want to go to the fullest extent with a headhunter, okay, then by all means you can go for the bow. Right, so weapon of choice, void battery. Alright, just make sure you have this at 30% so that okay, you should not have the, okay, I do not know why the enchant is wrong. Let me just fix this a real quick one. You should have the elemental effect instead of the aerial damage, okay? So yeah, with the elemental damage, we have about more DPS. Right, just take note of this. It's very simple, this one. Just need to have at least 60% global critical strike chance, alright, on both of your void battery. And helmet. This helmet is just a very simple one, like what my COC uses. Warlord and Redeemer, which has a +1 to power charges, and nearby enemies have -9 to cold resistance. Hopefully you have a empty prefix slot so that you can craft life on it. Okay, and your helmet enchantment, of course we want to have 30% increased blade vortex duration, so we don't really need to click a lot of times. Right, and this is also to upkeep our 10 stacks of blade vortex. Okay, for the body chest armor, I know this is going to have a lot of heated debate on it. Okay, so I'm going to explain why I am using this body chest armor right now. Previously, it was the Crusader slash Redeemer body armor, which I know like everybody on PoE Ninja or most of the people are using it. Okay, with the aura. However, the more I went to research and think about it, I don't feel the aura is the best option. Okay, why is because you don't really have a lot or tons of aura, to be honest. Okay, like we are not going low life or whatever. The only aura that is really affecting, right, like most of the other builds out there, it doesn't even have Defiance banner. Okay, to be honest, it doesn't even have Defiance banner. I just managed to be able to squeeze this inside so to have more defenses and we have a good evasion chance. Most of the builds only have 3 aura, which is like either your grace or determination, and then your hatred plus zealotry. That's all. That's the only aura you have. Okay, and with just 3 auras, right, I don't feel that the need for the increase, like 25% aura increase, can scale with spell critical strike chance unless you have already capped your spell critical strike chance, which is highly unlikely with this build. If you don't have any base critical strike chance, you probably be sitting like at about 60 to 70% crit chance only. Okay, however, with this body armor, right, with at least the tier 1 to spell critical strike chance from the hunters mod, you can easily reach 100% crit strike chance. Okay, and that is a lot of difference, which means every monster you hit is going to crit with ailments. So let's say when you're dealing cold damage, it's either going to chill or freeze, and that is another good second layer of defense. Okay, so that's why I have this spell critical strike chance. And because I went for the hunter modifier, I am able to deterministically craft this armor with, you can apply an additional curse. Okay, so how do I actually craft this body armor with 3 of this specific mod? I have listed it on my Google spreadsheet over here. Okay, so let me just pull it up, a quick one. I've closed it. Right, I have shown it over here. Okay, yeah, I'll just go through one more time. Okay, so it's literally over here. Okay, it's literally over here, this second portion of the step. What you want to do is you want to combine the body armor with Crusader and Hunter first. Alright, and the Hunter has to be an additional curse. Okay, so okay, I'll just bring up Crown of Exile Emulator, a quick one. Okay, to show you guys. So body armor, this is definitely going to be the sacrificial garb, right? So let me just take that, Hunter and Crusader. Yep. So let's just say I already have this, okay, which is, let's say, the explode, okay, tier 1 explode, and the apply additional curse. Okay, this is your base. This is definitely going to be your base. Okay, the other mods, whatever it is, I don't care what you get. Okay, I really don't care what you get. Let's say fire resistance also. Okay, tier 8. Okay, from here onwards, right, once you have awakeners of it, the nice part is you do not need to have a life modifier on it, and you actually do not want it. The reason is because on our skill tree now, under the life modifier, there is a mod that says here 15% increase maximum life if there are no life modifiers on equipped body armor. And this 15% increased life, right, is actually way much better than having flat life on your body armor. So that's why I have noticed that this is much better without the life. Okay, so back to this. How you gonna craft this is, what you want to do is under the suffix benchcraft, you want to lock your prefix. So prefix cannot be changed. Okay, prefix cannot be changed, and it's just a very simple process of going to harvest, using the reforge, and you want to reforge caster. Okay, the reason for this, right, is because, guys, you can see the whole entire suffix here. Okay, there is actually, okay, ideally, right, okay, maybe I before I do this, ideally you want to have 3 prefixes. Okay, but actually it doesn't. Oh, okay, it doesn't matter, my bad, sorry, my bad. So I'm just going to fast forward again. Prefix cannot be changed. Where is it? Okay, over here. Okay, so the next step is you just want to harvest reforge caster. All right, because there is only one modifier you can hit over here that has the caster tag, which is this chance spell critical strike chance. Okay, this is a custom mod, and this is the one and only custom mod you can have next on your chest. So by doing harvest reforge with prefix cannot be changed, it is guaranteed that you're gonna have this. However, there are 2 tiers you can have. Okay, so you can get the lower tier, which is literally what I got over here. This is tier 2, and if unfortunately you have this, my only option to tell you is, hey, is either you can annul up and try to YOLO for it, okay, and then what you can do is you will just do the same thing over again, prefix cannot be changed, and harvest reforged caster once more. My god, that is really unlucky. Okay, but yeah, you should eventually hit the tier 1 critical strike chance. It is not difficult. Okay, I think I'm really very unlucky here. I have done it for one of my friend also, and I hit it on the second try. Okay, so this is how you actually get this body armor. It's like you already have the prefix of the explode and the additional curse, and you just need to harvest reforged caster with prefix cannot be changed, and you'll get this, and you will have, most of the time you have an additional suffix slot most of the time. Alright, so yep, this is how you craft the body armor. Okay, and yeah, I would really prefer this over the aura, because the aura doesn't really do as much additional damage as this body armor. Okay, next is the glove. The glove is just a very simple incursion glove where you have additional increased damage with hits against shield enemies. Alright, and you want to bench craft the 25% of physical damage converted to cold damage, because we are converting 100% of physical damage to cold, and this 25% is part of the conversion. Alright, 40% is from the skill tree, and the remaining 35% is basically from your Watcher's Eye, which I will show you later on. Okay, and then of course your Eldritch modifiers, chance to unnerve, cold exposure on hit, you can just roll them yourself. Right, boots is just basically speedy boots. Alright, you want to combine the elusive from Redimir and the tailwind when you deal a critical strike recently from Hunter, and you just slam with benchcraft your movement speed with onslaught, and you get triple of this speed modifier on it, and you just go very fast. Right, amulet. This amulet, right, is a little bit of a RNG, I would say. Okay, I did have some issues with this, but I really can't find any more solution other than this. I think this is really your best bet for it. And what this does, right, is basically you need to either combine or you already have it. Shaper and Redimir mods on the amulet both have this, which is your gain so and so physical damage and extra cold damage, increase mana reservation efficiency of skills. Both of this is available in Shaper and Redeemer. However, the easier method to do it, right, is basically just to combine both of this modifier from separate influence. Okay? However, there is a chance of you that you will actually downgrade the tier of this mana reservation efficiency of skills, and I know some of you might probably ask like, what happen if I actually get a lower tier of it? Okay, my answer is to you is you can go like 8% or even lower than that. Okay, it is possible to go lower than that, like even like 7% or something like that. Okay, however, it is not the worst because even if you go a low tier, you will still have enough mana for it. Okay, you will still have enough mana for it, so do not worry about what number of increased mana reservation efficiency or skills you have on this. Okay, just take note of it. And yeah, please remember to allocate charisma on this. It's very important, otherwise you cannot reserve all of your auras. Next is the resistance and attribute ring. Now this ring is one of like the go-to of how I have been crafting all of my builds that is life, that focus on life with it. This is like the perfect 5 mod resistance and attribute ring, and this is like the best you can probably ever get already. Okay, so I've shown this how you can craft this on the Google spreadsheet. Just go over there and read it. It's not difficult. For the belt, I'm just going to go for a very simple life and resist belt. You can just benchcraft increase damage on it. And the jewel, the abyss jewel, you can just go for some life and one more damage modifier with chance to gain phasing, which is I think not bad. Okay. Flask is just a very simple quicksilver, jade, and amethyst. Alright. You can see I did not even use a diamond flask over here, and I am actually already at 98% critical strike chance, so that's why it frees up a slot for me. Alright, it frees up a slot for me to use amethyst flask, which is going to help me tank much better against chaos damage or even poison, because we are not poison immune. Alright, however, if you want to use the diamond flask, by all means, but I am going to tell you it's really not a very ideal option. Okay. And our 4th and 5th flask is just Taste of Hate and Bottle of Fate to give us more damage, more survivability from Taste of Hate, and Bottle of Fate is just more damage with Consecrated Ground. Right, the next one, the next thing to talk about is basically the jewels. Okay, I'm going to use the skill tree to talk about it. So first of all is the cluster jewel. We're going to have one cold damage cluster jewel with Blast Freeze, Doyani's Lesson, and Prismatic Heart. So this tree is kind of mandatory. Why? Is because Doyani's Lesson is the only node, right, in the whole entire freaking game that it allows us, that's accessible and allows us to leech life from elemental damage. Sadly, this is the case, so I would say Doyani's Lesson is kind of important. Next is Prismatic Heart. 30% increase elemental damage, 10% to elemental resist. This is too good to ignore. Alright, the last one is just Blast Freeze. Blast Freeze is really up to you. You can get Blanketed Snow if you really want. Of course, it's more damage, but it's probably gonna cost a lot more expensive. Right, for the medium cluster jewel over here, I went with the area damage one, and you probably need like Vast Power for the area damage and AoE. Okay, 50% AoE is really a lot for BV. And the other one is just increase AoE effect, increase life, because this build is a little bit squishy if you do not scale lots of life. Okay, for here, I'll go through the base jewel later on. And the next big cluster is the physical cluster. Now, the physical cluster, right, is honestly the best option over here. It's actually better than the cold damage cluster. Okay, however, like I mentioned, right, there is no way like right now that we can leech life from elemental or cold damage. That is why I've used this Doyani's Lesson, because it's just a one-way ticket, easy, accessible, that allows us to leech life. So that's why the cold damage cluster is here. Otherwise, I'll probably just use 2 physical damage cluster. Alright, so yeah, Physical damage cluster is because we are converting physical damage to cold damage. So anything that scales with physical damage is going to give us a ton of damage. And physical cluster is one of the options that gives us a lot more DPS. You can see it's like 35%, 35% increased physical damage. For the cold cluster, it's just about 20%, and the max is like what, prismatic heart with 30%. So yeah, it's really nice over here, and with better harden, right, you have 30% increased evasion rating, which is almost like, I would say, half of a flask effect. Okay, a half of a flask suffix effect. Alright, so yep, that's it. And the last one is just a small cluster jewel. You're gonna have 3 passive skills over here with 25% increased effect and sublime form. Right, with this small cluster, right, you will be able to reserve more than enough mana for you to cast all your skills. Okay, just make sure you need to have 25% increased effect, sublime form, and it has to be 3 passive. Okay, and as for the base cluster jewel, all of them is basically more or less the same. 1 life modifier and 2 crit multi modifier. Okay, you don't really need to have this critical strike, global critical strike multiplier. You can have it on a crimson jewel also, right? The crimson jewel works as well because the crimson jewel has increased critical strike multiplier when you are dual wielding, and this works also. Okay, same for this. So there's like 3 base critical strike multi base jewel, and the other one is just one of this anti-corrupted blood jewel, because you really don't know when you might actually sorry, you might actually hit anti corrupted blood monster, and you probably just die straight away if you don't have this jewel. Right. Militant Fate is over here. Beasts have with Dominus, and ideally you want to have increased elemental damage and increased effect on non-curse aura. We have a lot of devotion over here. Okay, so one note of this is worth it for the non-curse aura. Right, if I do not have this non-curse aura, probably I'll have a lot more less defenses and damage as well. Okay, and the last one is the Watcher's Eye. What the mandatory mod, right, for Watcher's Eye is basically 35% of physical damage converted to cold damage while affected by hatred. Okay, guys, this is mandatory. Do not ask me if you can change this for other thing, because if you don't have this, there is no way you're gonna deal a good ton of damage, because your damage will be like half. You will not be converting all of your physical damage to cold, and you will not be dealing the full maximum scale of the damage. So guys, this is mandatory. Alright, the second modifier, chance to evade attack hits, if you cannot find it, then probably just use a temporary one with the physical conversion mod. Otherwise, the 7% chance to evade is really very good, and this mod is what will bring us to 83% evasion chance. Alright, just take note of that. So yeah, this is the item. For the upgrades, right, I can tell you that if you have an Echelon or Star, you can just replace it directly. Okay, it's gonna give you a really huge DPS boost. However, yeah, you just gotta take note of some of the attributes. Alright, you might not be able to fulfill it, and you gotta find it somewhere else. Alright, it's not difficult because it's just a small, very small amount of strength required. You can probably just find it somewhere in your Abyssal Jewel and just throw it in. Alright, it's worth it to give up the damage mod over here. Okay, and next upgrade is probably the belt. Okay, I did not put it over here, but you can have a Headhunter. Okay, and you can put it in. However, there is one problem over here. When you change the Headhunter, right, you got to make sure that other equipments is able to fulfill your resistance. As you can see, if I were to change the Headhunter, I do not have enough fire and lightning resistance. However, I have way more than enough strength and dex. Okay, so that's actually a little bit of a problem over here. You gotta change things around. Alright, there is really no good solution. Like maybe instead of having strength and dex over all your body armor, you can probably change to, wait, that's my body armor. Okay, so my body armor is over here. Instead of doing this, probably you can just benchcraft fire and lightning resistance. I'm pretty sure they have it. Yep, over here. So even at 20%, this is good also. And then you just gotta find like another one somewhere else. probably your rings you can get from your rings as well. Okay, it's not the worst solution. It's not hard to cap your resist, just gotta find it elsewhere. Like if you want to cap it on your jewel, by all means it is okay as well. Okay, you can just get you can just replace one of the base jewel with life and like double resist. It is totally fine. Okay, it's not the worst. It is worth it to change this for a headhunter. Right, so this is just some of the minor changes you can do when you are actually using a headhunter. Alright, last but not least guys, under the notes section, I have the copy paste for your maps, like what you need to reroll. And for leveling guides, right, just follow my Occultist League starter, which is the winter type brand. That is really kind of like the best option in my own opinion. You can of course use the Vortex as well, from anybody else's League starter build. And yeah, these are like just some of the common questions asked, which is probably like a very generic or universal kind of questions. I will eventually add more as this goes on, okay? So yeah, please read it first before you actually ask me. And this is all for this build. I hope you guys really have fun enjoying blasting this build, because I am honestly enjoying it much more than COC. BV is a very very fantastic mapper, okay? You can do juice maps, you can do non-juice maps as well. You just explode things everywhere and even off screen sometimes, and it just feels so satisfying. Right, enjoy the build guys. If you have any other questions or if you see any problems, please head over to my Discord and let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.